Hey, everyone. This is Demia Avery of the Demia Avery Show. Thank you so much for joining me on today's entertainment report. So, today is going to be another Diddy update. I'm sorry to have other entertainment news because there is other entertainment news out there, but I wanted to make sure that you guys got this important Diddy trial update with Capricorn Clark on the witness stand. So I'm gonna have to do this in two parts. So this is part one of her testimony for today. She is due to come back again tomorrow because she has a lot to say, you guys. So I'm gonna do this one part now and then another part, another video right after this. And I had to get a summary from my friends over at NBC. So I had to get summaries because otherwise it was so detailed, so much. But I promise you, you won't miss anything. I'm going to go ahead and begin reading this. And here we go. All right. So Capricorn Clark, Combs' former employee, has been called to testify by the government. Clark said she started at Bad Boy Records in 2004 and worked for Combs until 2020. She also served as Cassie's creative director until 2018, she told the court. Combs' former employee described how she once was in fear for her life after he threatened to unalive her while discussing Suge Knight. Clark, Combs, and Combs' head of security, Uncle Paulie, were walking through Central Park in New York City when Combs brought up Suge. Clark describes Combs' calm demeanor in expressing his anger over learning that she had once worked for Suge Knight over at Death Row Records. When the prosecution asked Clark if she took his threats serious, she said, very serious. The defendant once made a vague threat. Oh, this is something else. The defense once made a vague threat against 50 Cent regarding 50 Cent, according to Clark. After Combs and 50 Cent finished doing press for MTV, the defendant told his manager that he was having an issue with the rapper. Combs punctuated the chat with, I like Pow Pow, the witness said. Okay, so going on to the next. Clark told the court that Combs once accused her of stealing three pieces of high end jewelry that he had been given on a loan and subjected her to a lie detector test when it went missing. She testified that Combs had tasked her with bringing the jewelry to Teterboro Airport, but she didn't realize the items were gone until they were at the airport. Clark told the court that she brought to an office she didn't recognize. She was brought to an office she didn't recognize in New York after being questioned for hours on the matter. A heavy-set man on the sixth floor of the building told her she was there to take a lie detector test and that if she failed it, he would throw her into the East River, she said. Wow. Okay. George Kaplan, another former assistant who worked for Combs, testified last week that he was also ordered to take a lie detector test on two different occasions during his employment. After three pieces of jewelry went missing, Clark told the court she was told she wasn't free to leave until she passed the lie detector test. The first test was inconclusive, and she was threatened again with being thrown into the East River by the man administrating the polygraph. She was brought home and forced back the next day, saying she was told by Combs security she was not free to leave until she was cleared of any wrongdoing. It took 5 days of test taking. She did not want to take the test, but she wanted to get through the ordeal and prove her innocence. Okay. So she goes on to say, this talks about, I guess, how she's affected personally. Clark lost hair and barely slept due to the 24-hour stress of her job working for Combs. For a $55,000 salary, that's crazy. Clark said she regularly worked from 7 a.m. to 4 a.m., doing everything from research to fetching dry cleaning and food. Part of Clark's job was to set up hotel rooms for Combs, which she told the court required drugs and intravenous drips. She said she would unpack his clothes and make sure his personal belongings were in place, which included baby oil and a small camera. Part of the setup required a toiletry bag with drugs such as ecstasy, Clark said. Combs also required 4 drips for himself and Cassie, which he said contained something similar to serotonin supplements and will help them recover from drug use. Moving on, she said Combs once forced Cassie Ventura to obediently move at his command in front of the other women, Clark said. She recalled a 2010 interaction with Combs at his Los Angeles home when he questioned why she didn't have a boyfriend. That's when Combs summoned girlfriend Cassie into a room and had her sit down, stand up, and turn around on command, Clark said. Combs then allegedly added that you be you bees don't want to do that, and that's why you don't have a man. Okay, so it goes on to say there were times when Combs asked Clark to obtain drugs on his behalf, included illicit substances as well as prescription medication, she testified. Clark told the court that while Combs usually obtained drugs on his own, she was sometimes asked to get substances for him. She said Combs once asked her to get him cocaine while they were in the south of France in 2006. He also asked her to get prescription drugs in her name and then he would pay for it, Clark said. She goes on to say, it goes on to say, Clark recalled a 2006 incident at Combs' Miami home when he was when he forcefully shoved her, the witness said. Capricorn used her hands in a shoving motion when describing how an enraged Combs allegedly pushed her around while saying, "If you hate it here, get the F out my house." That was crossing my boundary, Atilfa Clark told jurors of the incident. So it goes on, and they're switching the subjects again here, guys. It says, I guess it looks like she had given Cassie a burner phone. She said the burner phone that Cassie Ventura used to contact Scott Muscuddy, also known as Kid Cudi, was purchased at Clark's urging, she told the court. She said that she picked up Cassie one day and Cassie asked Kid Cudi to join them. When Clark thought it was a bad idea. Clark testified that she was concerned that Cassie was texting her on a phone paid for by Combs and that it wasn't a good idea. Clark took Cassie to Best Buy to buy a new phone because she feared that Cassie was going to get us all unalived, Clark testified. She goes on to say, Clark recalled the morning of December 22nd, 2011, when Combs banged on her apartment door as her enraged boss said they were going to confront Kid Cudi. Clark said Combs was visibly furious, his pants split at the crotch as he paced back and forth with a firearm. He just said, "Get dressed, we're going to go unalive Miss Cudi," Clark testified, with the pow-pow in his hand. The witness's testimony could be crucial to the government's racketeering case if prosecutors can show Combs marshaling his company's resources for use in a criminal action. Kid Cudi had earlier testified to Combs' rage when he learned that Ventura was seeing him. Clark goes on to say, Clark told the court that she was sitting in a car at Kid Cudi's home when Combs accessed the main door of the rapper's property. She called Cassie Ventura from the car and told her that Combs came to Cudi's home to unalive him. She said that Combs came back to the car and asked to see her phone, calling the last number on the call history. Clark said Combs ordered her to call Cassie to let her know Combs had her and that he wasn't going to let Clark go until Cassie came. Cassie calmly agreed, Clark testified, and Clark went to pick her up. They returned together to Combs' home, where Combs allegedly told them not to speak to the police and urged them to convince Cudi to not tell the police he was involved. Combs repeatedly kicked and beat Cassie as he wore only a robe and underwear after she arrived at his home following the Kid Cudi break-in, Clark tearfully testified. Clark told the court that Combs said that Combs came at Cassie 100% full force, repeatedly kicking his former girlfriend while she crouched more and more into a fetal position. Cassie was crying quietly as Combs kicked her in the back over and over again. Combs' former employees struggled to speak while recounting the incident to the court, testifying that Cassie was only a few feet away from her at the time. Clark said Combs told her if she intervened, he would attack her next. She added that no one on Combs' security team intervened to stop the attack. The witness said she even suffered from stress related alopecia, the clinical term for hair loss due to her boss's nonstop demands. Okay, so this is concludes part one. You guys come back to the next video. I'm going to upload part two.